I think this is episode 47 that we recorded, and thank you for taking a few moments to out of your day to listen, and hopefully you will find some value in this episode. And today we're going to talk about that word value, but in an area that you don't hear talked about a whole lot, and that's leading with value in the workplace. So leading with value in the workplace. A quote that I had read here a couple weeks ago, it said, "When we are motivated by compassion and wisdom, the results of our actions benefit everyone, not just ourselves or some immediate convenience." So that was a quote by Dalai Lama. And as I was, I'd read this quote, and then within like a day or two, I had in my office two situations over the course of a couple days where employees felt very undervalued by their essentially by the individual that they worked for. And literally both of them, when they were talking about their situation, one of them literally did come to tears. And it wasn't a situation, sometimes people go to work and they just hate their jobs. They go in and they just don't like what they do, so they're just kind of perpetually miserable in their work. But in these two situations, they were employees that really, they really wanted to see the business succeed. They really enjoyed the work that they were doing. They just felt very demeaned and very undervalued by by essentially the individual that they worked for. And in both situations, they're considering moving on and maybe finding a place where they could go and work and use their skill set and feel valued at the same time. And so I just jotted down just a couple thoughts here as it relates to as those of us who may own a business or maybe we manage people. How can we show the people that work for us that they are valued? And I think when we talk about value and bringing value, especially when we're working with people, I think we need to lead with compassion and respect. And I think as an owner, we need to take ownership. We need to take ownership in every area. Many times owners, they just want to take leadership as it relates to revenue generation or the bottom line or some other area, and they kind of leave all of the dealing with employees to an HR manager or to somebody else in the business, or they just want to just blame the employee when they don't feel like they're valued. I pay them, isn't that good enough? And I might argue with you that no, just paying them probably isn't good enough. If we want a culture in the workplace to where we're bringing value to our client, to our customer, and that's really going to stem many times from those of us who are owners showing our employees value and showing and helping them to feel valued. So how do we go about doing this? First of all, as a business owner, we need to keep the core values of our business in front of us. And probably for most of us who are business owners, we will have some sort of a compassion or a love element inside of our core values. There may be respect or integrity. We'll have different character traits in those core values that kind of would lend toward making sure, if we're evaluating our core values against our actions, in showing value to our employees. So compassion and respect can be shown in helping employees with their needs. And of course, we're going through and we're helping them supply what they need and beyond that, many times what they want through their paycheck. But we're talking more of these internal types of needs that an individual has. An employee needs to feel valued. They need to be developed. We need to be developing, of course, as individuals, as business owners. We need to be constantly developing ourselves, educating ourselves. We need to constantly be learning, but we also need to provide that opportunity for our employees as well. We need to be developing them, helping them to become all that they can be in their position in the business. So an employee needs to be developed. They need to be managed well. Kind of a word that not used quite as much anymore as the word manage, but they do need to be managed well. They need to be encouraged. They need to be motivated. For ourselves as business owners, we don't come in every day to the office or wherever we're going, or we don't always feel motivated. We need to find out ways that we kind of need to be self-motivated. And I don't know if it's always necessarily a great expectation of ours for our employees to show up to work feeling motivated. Realistically, they just like we don't always feel motivated, they're not always going to feel motivated. So getting in there and just helping them feel motivated, just encouraging them. An employee who feels valued will receive constructive criticism well. So we shouldn't be negative. One of the individuals that was in my office that literally it was coming to tears was they felt very much demeaned. They sit there and they were just berated by a boss who did not know how to criticize effectively and criticize in an appropriate way. It wasn't constructive. It was destructive type of destructive in their way that they were criticizing their employees. So, but an employee who feels valued will receive constructive criticism well. They'll receive it and they'll say, okay, well, these are things I want to work on because I want to please the person that I'm working for. I think that most employees do want to please the person that they work for. Notice when an employee isn't feeling well and try to make provision for that. Notice when an employee needs time off. Sometimes an employee, maybe they're just going through a bad stretch. Maybe there's some issues going on in their personal lives, to be able to go to them and say, you know what, as a parent, that maybe there's some things going on. Why don't you just take the day off? And I think even going beyond that, doing something to help them. If they have a need and it's within your capacity to be able to fill it, lead with compassion. Help them out. Next, an employee needs to feel secure. For many wives in a marriage relationship, security is one of the primary things they need to feel. I think for most employees, they need to feel that they're secure in the workplace. That means that we as owners aren't going out and spending money frivolously, and we just don't care about our employees. We're just going to use them to suck every penny we can out of them, and then we just go and do what we want. I don't think that's going to lead to a business that's going to strive in perpetuity, or one that's going to strive in perpetuity well, or leave a good legacy. So an employee needs to feel secure, and an employee needs to be listened to actively. So when an employee is communicating with us, that we're listening on purpose for a purpose, to try to help them, to try to be able to effectively resolve whatever the issue is that's being communicated with us. 3 studies have shown that when an employer values his or her employees, there is a healthy flow of communication in the workplace. A lot of times problems in the workplace boil down to a lack of communication. So when we're leading with value, when we're leading with respect and compassion, there is a healthy flow of communication in a business. And also, when we lead in this way, studies have shown that there's improved employee retention. There's reduced stress in the workplace, both for the employee and the employer, and a more loyal, secure, and transparent workplace. And I think all of those particular traits we all want in our business. And if we want to have a business that the people feel valued, we're going to lead with value. We want to own a business to where our customer feels like they have received a good value that exceeds what the price that they were charged. That we're going to have to, as owners, lead with value as it relates to the people that work for us. Hope this brought you some value. If it did, I would encourage you to subscribe to the Belk on Business podcast. Once again, this is Josh Belk. Have a wonderful day.